There are a lot of games that have never been released in the United States properly that are excellent games to play. I'll give you a couple examples of those today. You may be familiar with a company named Treasure who made games like Gunstar Heroes, Ikaruga, Radiant Silvergun, but they made a few other games that are actually very excellent as well, and I put these on here to test out. They made one called Alien Soldier, which was only released in Europe and Japan. It's too bad it was never released here because it is an excellent game. This would have been a great game to have in the United States, but, you know, at least we have emulation to help us get to play games like this. Another game they made was only on Nintendo 64, but they actually released a sequel for Wii, and I believe they put it on the Wii Virtual Console as well. But it was Sin and Punishment, and there's a Japanese name for it. It's an excellent game. And again, with Nintendo 64, I follow a few settings to make them run a little bit better. I go into the settings, video, I'll turn bilinear filtering on. Aspect ratio, I already have the full screen. I like to turn VSync off because that'll actually help the game run a little bit faster. I'm going back, resuming. Another game made by Treasure. Quite a bit like a Panzer Dragoon on-rail shooter style game, but it's an awesome game, and I'm glad it runs on the Mini. I'm going to show you a couple other games that aren't made by Treasure, but they're really fun games that I just had to try out on there. There's one game that you can play on Famicom Disk System, but there's an issue where you have trouble flipping disc sides. That's why I prefer to play it on the Game Boy Advance version, which was only released in Japan. You can also download this on your 3DS in the Virtual Store. But this is a game that should have been released over the United States because it is quite a bit like a Zelda game. You can see the title, Nazo no Murasabi Jew. Another game I'd like to show you before we quit this video is a personal favorite of mine that was never released in the United States called Valkyrie no Densetsu. There's an arcade version, there's a Famicom version, there's a TurboGrafx 16 version. The TurboGrafx 16 and arcade versions are pretty close to one another. The NES version, which was only released in Japan, is quite a different game. This is a really fun game, quite a bit like Pocky and Rocky on Super Nintendo, and very catchy music, but it's a must-play game. And Namco made it. They always make good games. Tekken. This has to be some of the most upbeat music I've ever heard in a video game. Just very catchy. Another game that sadly was never released over here, but it should have been. But if you want to play a game like this, Pocky and Rocky is probably one of the closest ones to it. I always like this genre of gameplay anyway, like Gunsmoke is a great game like this too. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll release more.